All right. Hopefully we're up and running. I didn't do anything different as of yesterday in regard to what I did yesterday, but it looks like YouTube is working correctly now, so that's awesome. I guess I wasn't the only person having a problem with my stream too yesterday. Others were as well. Can you guys confirm? Does everything look good? Curious what you think of MSTR is going. Can you look to talk about it if Bitcoin is going to double them? Well, MSTR 4x. Yeah, I think MSTR is a 2x multiplier to Bitcoin. I've said that for a while. I do think that continues to hold, and I think Bitcoin could do 3x pretty easily from where we're at, or at least close to it. So MSTR to me is a 6x, and then some of the miners are maybe closer to 8, 9, 10 from where they're at right now. Mike Alfred had a really good point. He talked about how XRP, one of the bigger shit coins, is actually a larger market cap than every Bitcoin miner, publicly traded miner combined. I think that says a lot for what could happen if there's exuberance with Bitcoin in the next year plus, and what miners could do. So yes, I do think there is a lot of upside for Bitcoin. I know it's going down right now. There's something else I want to just mention here in a second, and then I'll jump into my thoughts. We're going to cover a lot today, so let's just give the quick breakdown. NVIDIA became the largest company in the world for the first time ever, jumping 2 spots. That's a pretty good, big deal. There's 3 companies now in the United States that are over $3 trillion. Tesla is not one of them, but I do think that's coming in the years ahead. Stock market, we got the oil markets up today, almost 1%. I'm not quite sure why that's happening. If you guys have an idea, let me know. Otherwise, we'll try and look up news on that. We've got Bitcoin down 3.6% today, but then at the same time, we've got CleanSpark up 1% with a nice acquisition of 60 megawatts, it looks like, of facilities in Georgia to help with their expansion. And then you have Mara up 1%, and then you have Wolf up 2.28, and Cypher up 1%, and Bitfarms up 0.5. So you got a decent amount of miners kind of outperforming. Some of them are a little lower today because they've been outperforming a lot recently. I don't think you can give too much shit to Iron for being down almost 4% today when it's been up a whole bunch in the last last like 60 days or 45 even. But lots going on in the markets today. I do think that the shitcoin market seems to be taking a little bit of a hit today. Let me just jump over to that real quick here and see if I can bring that up. I'll do it under Crypto Bubble. So if you look here, the day, week, month, it's been pretty brutal on altcoins. So Bitcoin consolidating, which I think is really healthy. And we'll have a post here in a second where it's funny. I think it's really great. It says, it's got like some sage Asian advice from some grandmaster, and it says, warning, Bitcoin is dippiest before pumpiest. And it's just meant to say, like, people get bored. They get bored with Bitcoin. They go long 2, 3, 5, 10x leverage, expecting to go to the moon. And then that doesn't happen. And then they get liquidated. And then they might go in again, and then they get liquidated. And eventually all the leveraged longs just kind of give up. And people get bored, and they jump into some GameStop or some other shit. And by shit, I mean like garbage. And then instead of owning Bitcoin, and right when that happens, like, don't get me wrong, we could get a quick wick down here, maybe into the 50s. Could totally happen. Don't care if it does, but it could happen. But we'll be back up against this, and we will go higher. And I'll show some charts that do a good job of representing where Bitcoin is at right now and where it's going to be in the future. But before we get started on all that, and a bunch of Tesla news and just a bunch of news everywhere, there's so much going on right now. Markets look like they might have closed up decently today. Let's take a look here real quick. Then we'll jump over to more news and macro-related stuff. So the S&P up 0.24%. NASDAQ up 0.03. So again, kind of taking a little breather from yesterday. And the Russell up 0.2%. So again, these markets just kind of keep going higher. We haven't seen that small cap jump yet, though. So we're still very much in a buy the big dogs and then see if things get better. And we'll talk a lot more macro here in a second. But I would say all in all, this isn't too bad. Dollar is actually, trending sideways to down. No real strength here. Don't hate that. When the dollar starts gaining strength, again, companies like Tesla that do international business get hit. We do see a little bit of a resurgence in gold, 0.59%. I wouldn't get too excited about it. Again, I always make fun of this, but up 21% in the last 13 years. Go gold. Oil's actually up, and again, I don't quite know why. It's trying to creep above the 50, the 100, and the 200, all right here at this level at the 79 range on the daily. So we'll see if it can hang up here. I think it'll take a lot to get it to continue to go up. Yeah, I think it'll take a lot. I don't see the problems that would cause that. There are issues with China and the Philippines and attacking boats. That's been getting a little bit of headlines, but I don't know how much of it's just noise either. China really can't afford a war right now, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's go over some other macro-related things real quick before we move on. So the MOVE index, again, we want to see this settle down. I don't love that we're above this previous neckline of this head and shoulders pattern that I was talking about. I would like to see this break down further. I don't know if it's going to. Maybe it trends sideways. But again, we'll see what happens there. But I would love to see the bond market volatility drop further and continue to just kind of trend in here. Because if it does, that means stocks are probably going up. Because nobody likes bond market volatility. All right, U.S. government 2-year bonds down 1.26%. This is good. We'd actually like to see this roll over. We want to see yields drop, right? We want to see the amount that people are getting paid drop, so that there's less interest in bonds because people are wanting to get into stocks where they can get bigger gains. So this isn't a bad thing. This is something we're rooting for. All right. And let me see here real quick. I'll check the inversion. I don't really think it's going anywhere. Yeah, so we're uninverting, or I'm sorry, not uninverting. We're reinverting more now. So the longest inversion of the 10-year and the 2-year in the history of the stock or bond markets is now starting to happen more. So that's very interesting. I think it could continue for a while, honestly. Let's see how the yen and the Chinese yuan are doing. So the dollar's showing strength against the yen. Not great. Again, we got this carry trade with Japan. We don't want to see the dollar gaining too much strength against their markets because they hold a lot of our debt, and we don't want them to have to sell that, right? We want them to hold on to it. So hopefully that continues to happen. And then China, again, we're seeing weakness in the Chinese yuan too. So even though the dollar dropped a little bit today, all in all, these other currencies are losing against the dollar. And that could continue to happen. There's a theory about, the dollar melting up, the dollar milkshake theory. I don't know if that's going to continue to prevail right now. We'll see. But it's interesting nonetheless. I do want to jump topics real quick here. So I want to talk about some good stuff. Got lots of good stuff today. Should be fun. And you guys, if you could hit the like, that would be awesome too. It's greatly appreciated. Makes me want to do this more and more, the more likes I get. So if you want to hear this, do that. Now, what I wanted to talk about, I posted a video just a little bit ago. This is one I watched the other day. It's talking about the potential impact of the Texas Stock Exchange. And I find it fascinating that we're talking about BlackRock and the Citadel, of all things, creating the TXSE Stock Exchange to rival the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange. And again, there's actually like 12 different exchanges in the United States, but really the big ones are going to be the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange. And they have had issues recently where and not recently, I mean many years, the IPO market for the stock market has sucked. And part of that is because the NYSE and the NASDAQ charge exorbitant fees for IPOs. And they've got tons of rules and regulations that need to be followed, massive amounts. Again, some people call it the woke exchanges because they focus on, ESG and DEI initiatives, which are very much, left leaning. But there's a lot of hurdles for people to overcome. And it makes a ton of sense. There's this video, again, it's linked below, but I would watch it. It talks about how Texas has the most Fortune 500 companies, how they're located in the middle of the United States, how there's so much going on in Texas, and how an exchange is very, needed and overdue. And I think it's brilliant because the fees across the board are high for these other exchanges. Then you have the overregulation. Then you have, the inability to do IPO listings. So if they get this thing spun up in 2025 and ready to go in 2026, I mean, that lines up with the markets going down, in my opinion. But maybe this will help reignite the markets, or at least provide some capital to companies that are struggling while that's occurring, so that they can do better and get larger and maybe produce some really cool products. People might not remember this, but some of the cool companies like Netflix and others that were born during the disaster of the 2008 great financial crisis, if you bought them at the lows of that time, you made a ton of money. And so there's going to be new IPOs, I think, spinning up from this. It's going to be healthy for markets. It's going to be more competition. It's going to put the NYSE and the NASDAQ in their place and make it to where they're going to have to start thinking about how they can compete. And maybe pulling back some regulation and making it to where, the markets are easier to invest in for the average person. And I would love to see, instead of private equity, doing all the investing in companies and then having them really not even IPO until they're like tens of billions of dollars or more. I would love to see people getting in early on these investment things. It's better than buying a bunch of shit coins or buying GameStop. So very excited about this. And I know Larry Fink, some people hate him, especially if you're on the right, but he's been very interesting lately. He's switched his tone a lot and has almost completely reversed his attitude towards a number of things like, ESG, DEI, markets, trying to keep capitalism open and free, just a lot of things, and being pro Bitcoin. A lot of things have changed with him. One of the things he's been talking about, though, is digitizing assets and how all of them should be digitized in regard to like stocks and all these other things. I can see them doing that on this new exchange that's getting spun up. I can see that being just a much greater and much more efficient exchange. And I think that benefits this entire country. So stoked about it. Very excited about it. Don't think it's getting enough attention, but I do think it's going to be very interesting in the near future. Can you guys say something in chat? Let me know if you're still hearing me and everything's good. All right, so I got another thing here too that I wanted to talk about. I don't know if this is an epic prediction, but it's the closest bookmark I could find. So this is the U.S. federal debt interest payments, just a reference of them exceeding the entire defense budget. Now, we've talked about this before, but I wanted to use this moment to illustrate something. Awesome. Thank you guys for confirming. I wanted to use this moment to illustrate something. Look at the pandemic of 2020. Look at, in purple, look at the debt we had and the interest payments on our debt and where we were at. It was almost $600 billion a year, which is a lot. But right now, it's almost double that. So it doesn't really seem like that much pre-pandemic, does it? And then while we were easing, that dropped down to $500 billion in interest, right? So things actually got a lot better. And this made up $700 billion less in 2021 or late 2020. I'm sorry. It made up $700 billion less than it does today, the interest on debt. That's insane. Now, the only thing I wanted to point out here, this is a thought that I just don't think people are focused on enough, and I think it's very important. It's whether we're headed towards a deep, dark recession or whether or not we're looking at a boom. And I think we're looking at a boom. And the reason I say this, I've said it a few times, but hopefully I'm saying it more clearly now. I put, note how much the interest payment or interest debt burden increased while we raised the rates at the most aggressive rate in history. But don't worry, we can fix this problem over the short term by lowering rates. I strongly believe that if we start lowering rates, the interest on our debt is going to go down, and then it makes it more sustainable. So again, I think this is in the cards. I think this is the game, and this is what we're going to be doing in the future, because we want to make it to where we're not paying a bunch of interest, and we want to see that curve back down. And I think the best way for us to do that is to lower rates. And I think we're going to have plenty of reasons to be able to do that in the future. Now, I put bonus. We have autonomy, AI, and robotics ready to help the economy grow at faster rates than ever imagined. And I strongly believe this too. I don't think people are calculating in just what is happening right now, the efficiency gains, the productivity gains that we're going to be experiencing from all of this. There will be disruption. I've already said this. Unemployment is at the fucking lowest levels it's ever going to be in history from here on out. And the reason for that is it's going to pick up because of robotics, autonomy, and AI. There will be more unemployed people in the future. but we will also have more opportunity and we'll have more corporate gains and profits than we've ever seen before. These companies that can benefit from autonomy, AI, robotics, all this kind of stuff are going to grow exponentially. Tesla is at the forefront of that. So I just wanted to point out that if you look at it as a problem solving endeavor, then you realize that this interest on this debt, sure, it's stupid fucking high. But if you drop interest rates down to like 1%, all of a sudden that debt plummets back down to, somewhere over here, and it becomes more reasonable. Okay? So don't look at it as the end is nigh. I don't think that's true. I think there are plenty of things that can prevent it from happening. All right. Let's look at a few other things that happened today. So retail sales, we know the numbers came in weak today. So they weren't very strong. There's a number of reasons for that, but it is a drag on the economy right now. We expected 2.8 for forecast for year over year, and then last time we got a 2.7. The read was 2.3, so they're weak. Now the Red Book year over year actually gained in strength. So again, this is another way of looking at retail sales, and then we had industrial production month over month actually pick up. It was only supposed to be 0.2 for forecast, 0.3 consensus, but it was better. It was 0.9. And then we had capacity utilization beat consensus and forecast, which is good. Not a huge number, but it's good to see capacity utilization going up. And then again, if you look at industrial production year over year, it was 0.4 versus negative 0.1. So again, there's things where we're seeing strength and things where we're seeing weakness. Manufacturing is still pretty weak. If we look at manufacturing production here and we zoom out a little bit, you can see how it's been down here for a while. And it honestly hasn't been a strength, though, since what? Like, really, the last bit of strength we saw in manufacturing was probably like 2012. A little bit of strength, gains in 2018. And then, really, we just have the pandemic and the burn-off from it. So manufacturing hasn't done well for a while. I still don't think we're seeing enough improvement in that. I think it will get better probably in the future, especially with a lot of tariffs currently in China that are growing by the day. Now, business inventories, they basically met consensus. They're a little bit higher than normal. That could show that things are slowing down too. All in all, though, I'd say today was kind of a mixed bag of nuts. It was nothing too crazy. And I want to zoom down here and look at some other things. So let's do this real quick. Let's go back to here. All right. Okay. So let's talk more about economic data. Welcome back, Jesse. Any chance you could weigh in on Rio Tinto? I don't know if I got anything to weigh in on that, man. I don't know if I got enough information. You tell me what you want me to talk about, and I will tell you if I can provide any input whatsoever. Ryan Detrick, again, I love this guy. He's so cool. He said that June isn't a very strong for stocks, not working this year as we expected. Still, be aware that from now until later in the month is one of the seasonally worst times. So he's saying historically June sucks. But another thing to note is right here. He said, can this rally continue? Be aware that July has been up 9 years in a row for the S&P 500. So we are seeing, some temporary weakness in June as we expect, but we're already halfway through it, almost 2/3 of the way through it. And that July is actually a banger of a month. Over the past decade, it's been higher 90% of the time, tied with November for the best, up 3.1% on average, second only to November. So historically, seasonality-wise, July and November rock. So remember that. So as a lot of people are getting scared right now, history usually tells us that this is a great year. It also says that for the stock market in regard to elections, which we have coming up, and all across the world, and tons of liquidity coming in from all of that all across the world. But then also, too, we have the Bitcoin halving, which historically has been great, too. So we got a lot of rocket fuel. And here, cross-border capital, he says, no idea what the metric is, but direction seems broadly correct. Fed liquidity has to rise over the next 6 months, in our view, possibly by 20% at ANN rate, annual rate. So he's saying that we should see a lot of liquidity coming here between now and the end of the year. I agree with that. We also, I don't know if I have a good slide for this, we have corporations starting in July looking to do massive amounts of buybacks. It's seasonally a time where we see a lot of buybacks. And these fuckers are rich. So I'm just saying that's something you got to realize. Don't don't discount the seasonality. Don't discount the elections. Don't discount, all of these things that lead up to greater liquidity creation in the future. I think if you're doing that, you're missing out. All right, another thing. Cross-border says printer does not go burr anymore, but it does. He said Janet is duration managing U.S. debt by shortening tenor of the calendar. Banks are buying equals monetization. Just ask Milton. He's talking about Milton Friedman. But to be clear, what he's saying is that they're providing liquidity by issuing really short dated treasuries. And so we can see here under this, the treasury and agency securities on all commercial banks is screaming higher again, which it was taking a break, right? If we look over here at the beginning of the year, it had been dropping through the end of last year. And then down to the end of the year, it was down at the bottom, and now it's been climbing. So this should be beneficial to markets. That's the whole point. That's what Michael Howell is talking about. All right, a bunch more. Sorry, I got a lot today, guys. Down to here, any new insight and reinforced conviction on your Tesla leaps. I mean, my conviction is fucking huge, but we'll talk about a number of things that happen with Tesla. Again, we just went up like 5.5% yesterday. What are we down today on Tesla? Let me just take a look here real quick. Let me pull it up, and then we'll go back to this. So we're down today 1.38% after going up 5.5% yesterday, and the chart looks fucking great. So I'm going to say that it's perfectly fine and not to worry about it, and that you should have tons of conviction, and we'll talk about the reasons why in a little bit. All right, Michael, he says, Europe has not only worse demographics than the U.S., but also grotesque overregulation. This kind of speaks to what I was talking about with the indices for the NASDAQ and NYSE, and so just overregulation in general causing problems for markets, right? You can see it all over Europe. Look at this shit down here compared to us and how well we're bouncing. But it says bureaucracy and lack of innovation pushing it far behind. As none of European structural problems is being addressed, this gap will just keep getting larger. I agree. There's a lot of problems in Europe with the coziness they were developing with China and influx of immigration, changing a lot with their demographics, having people die off, having older communities, overregulation, a lot of things I'm hoping the U.S. can avoid in the years ahead. And you can see, at least for now, we are. Bar chart. I love these guys. They're my buddies. They're some of the original people that helped promote me in the beginning. They said foreigners have increased exposure to U.S. equities to an all-time high. So this is fascinating. There's a few other charts that are like this. But I think the thing you need to realize, there's another chart, it might be in here in a second too. It says that in normal circumstances, 18% of funds globally are being directed towards U.S. markets. Right now, a third of funds are being directed towards U.S. markets. I've been preaching this for a while, so I'm going to take a little victory lap here. I just want to fucking say, Jesse, owe my mom rent, but want to say thank you. Okay. Thanks, man. Appreciate you, Disease. But yeah, I just want to say that I've been saying for a long time that the U.S. markets are a lot stronger than people give it credit for, and that China is a fucking mess, being at 3x the debt to GDP of what we have here in the States, from my estimation, and a lot of numbers that are out there, and that their harassment of their neighbors and their border conflicts with like 14 different nations. It's all problematic, right? Nobody wants to invest in the yuan, or Russia isn't exactly taking over in the future. Nobody is. And so you have economies, the next greatest economies are like Europe, where you have overregulation. They're like China, where it's a fucking disaster and probably going through a depression soon. Russia, not so great. India looking better and growing, but again, there's only so much risk you want to put in emerging markets, right? Especially right now with the concerns of like, is everything going to fall apart in the world? Because if that happens, you want to be a part of the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry, and that is fucking America. We are the cleanest, dirtiest fucking shirt in the world. You should be very happy if you live here, okay? So, and the world sees that. The world sees that. Otherwise, this wouldn't go uppity, uppity, uppity. Okay? Just to be clear. Oh, hey, the thing works. It threw out the little tip thing. Awesome. All right, so I already talked about this a second ago. We've got the explanation in the other one, so we're just going to take you out of here and undo you. All right, bar chart. Here's another one. The U.S., we got a bunch of these to go over because I'm a few days behind. The U.S. has captured 1/3 of all global capital flows. Ah, yeah, okay. Since 2020, compared to just 18% before the pandemic. So he was laughing about BRICS is such a fucking joke. And it is a fucking joke. So it's just funny, right? It's funny because they want to be the big boys, but they're nowhere close to it. And they're looking at collapse, most of them. The only one in BRICS that really is going to do well probably is the I. Say hello to the I. The rest of them can fuck off. All right. Unintended benefits. Seth Golden, love him. He's from Jersey. He goes, Fed has raised rates for debt that is already locked in at lower levels, with wages having grown at the fastest pace since the turn of the century. Corporate and household balance sheets see a boon in earned income. Policy so tight, it's good. All he's saying here is these Americans have been hoarding cash. Everybody talks about how I hear all these naysayers like, oh, dude, it's getting so scary. The market, like, oh, the economy is so bad and Americans don't have money anymore. But that's bullshit. Because if we look here from where we were at 2020, cash levels for U.S. households for their balance sheet for checkable deposits and currency were near the 1 trillion range. And now they're up at 4.2. So these aren't like the world is falling apart numbers yet. Not that there aren't problems, but these are not reflective of them. There's a lot of money out there. Corporations have record money. Households have record money on their balance sheets. And then at the same time, we've got a record amount sitting in bonds waiting to transition out. So it's very interesting times. All right, this is just interesting. I threw this in here. I actually put this in the wrong slide. I'll probably talk about it real quick, though, just because I'll forget about it later. It says global investment in energy transition by sector. So I just want to point this out. You can hate renewable energy all you want. You can think it's going to go away. You can think EVs aren't the future, all this stuff. I got some stuff that's going to make fun of that quite a bit in a second. But the data tells us that this sector is growing massively. This is just through 2022. It's bigger now. But look at the growth here. Look at the growth that we're seeing in renewables and in everything. Like hydrogen isn't bad. Electrified heat, all these things are beneficial. I want to see nuclear grow. I think we're going to see more of that too. It's just costly. That's the only problem. But as energy grows, wealth grows. Remember that too. Okay, so we've got expanding energy all around the world. We're not cutting back. We're growing it. All right, this says European economic corporate power is in decline. This is the world we live in. Europe as a percentage of world total GDP. Look at that. Look at the drops that we're seeing in here. It's not pretty for Europe, guys. You don't want to be Europe right now. Hopefully they can start making better decisions. It seems like they're going to start leaning that way, at least some of them. All right, Citi raises the S&P 500 year-end target to 5,600. I wanted to point to this. There are a bunch of these in here where targets have been raised dramatically. So, again, I think they're starting to chase. I think we're seeing chasing, and I think that's going to benefit us. All right, Dr. Paul Dorfman, again, he's a big EV guy. And just renewables guy. He says monthly data shows wind and solar complement each other across seasons to provide stable output. And it does appear to be very stable. I mean, if you look at the lines here, they're pretty averaged out. And you can see where, there's segments where you get tons of sun during the summer and maybe not as much wind, but they do have balance. And combined with batteries, they're very beneficial. All right, Blake. Per latest JPM Institutional Weekly Survey, there's virtually no risk appetite to deploy fresh capital into equities. Investors continue to show no love for stocks in 2024. I actually believe this is a contrarian indicator and that we're going to see some money getting deployed in the near future here. We'll see how it ends up playing out, but I do think we're kind of near a bottom here. And if anything, we're more likely to go up than we are to go down. All right, bar chart. Again, love these guys. Hedge funds reduced their overall exposure to stocks last week by the largest amount since March of 2022. So again, hedge funds, which try to hedge against what markets are doing a bunch of selling. Again, they can come back in a heartbeat if they're directionally wrong on it. But we are seeing them doing a bunch of hedging. So they're going the opposite way that the market's going, right? As far as their positioning. Now, I thought this was interesting. This is California. It says world's 5th largest economy. That's what California is, in case you didn't know that. California job openings tumble 42% in 2 years. Now, again, we've seen in regular job openings, we've seen kind of a flattening off. of a massive increase in jobs after the pandemic, right? Like the numbers just got really crazy for openings, and things got very competitive. But California is worse. If you look here, they're already well under their average for pre-pandemic, going back to like 2017. They're below those numbers, getting back to 2016 levels. So they're seeing massive contraction. And I think that this is a problem that's only going to continue in California because of all the stupid shit that they do. Here's one from Doge Designer, who works with Elon quite a bit. He says, people get confused sometimes. They think an economy is money. Money is a database, and this is from Elon Musk. Money is a database for exchange of goods and services. Money doesn't have power in and of itself. The actual economy is goods and services. He's right about this, although you can't take away from things like Bitcoin because that matters a lot. Let me see here. All right, I put this one under the U.S. economy section for a reason. It says you work for it. They print it out of thin air. Bitcoin fixes this. Again, I just don't think people really understand the concept of money and the fact that the government is constantly diluting your wealth and taking from you so that they can force you to spend. And I think that's a really unhealthy thing that has worked out well for the economy for the last 50 plus years. But history tells us that great nations do not last by letting the money printer go burr. And we're at a time where it's only picking up. So I'm just going to say that this does need to get fixed. It needs to get fixed through growth and or adoption of Bitcoin. And we know there's some parties right now that definitely want to do that, that want to adopt Bitcoin. And we need that. We need the wealth to be here in the United States. We need the biggest miners. We want to be the biggest benefactors of the rise of Bitcoin as a world reserve currency. That way, if it dies, I've said this for years, that I can see a future where the U.S. dollar eventually dies, and it will happen. It's inevitable. Every fiat currency does, every one of them. But it's not now because China's weak, and they're hurting, and there's no number two. The only number two is Bitcoin, and so I believe there's a world where the U.S. still wins. And anybody who's been following me for the last year plus, 2 years that I've been on social media, but a year plus ish on X knows that I've been saying for a long time that we can ride this storm and that we could be the biggest benefactor of the Bitcoin network, and that I think it's probable. And my conviction on that is only growing. All right, I think that's it. I think that's it for that. So we covered some economic stuff, covered some macro view stuff. Real quickly, I want to jump into the Bitcoin side of the segment. Then we'll do some Tesla. Then we'll go through other stocks here in a second. You guys throw out anything yet. You said you're a massive help. You're welcome. I'm very happy to be, man. Albert said, what do you think about info provided by Kobayashi Letter? They provide a lot of Doomis data. I think that's a lot of what you get. Here's the problem I have with Doom data. Doom data almost always, I can't say always, almost always ignores what could be positive. And you could reverse that the other way, but here's the thing. The human mind works towards trying to solve problems, and AI works towards trying to solve problems. So only looking at the things that are going wrong and saying that there's no way to solve them and then not trying to look towards solutions and a better future historically has been fucking a bad idea in the investment world, especially, right? Like, you don't make a lot of money from things falling apart. There are some people that time things perfectly and can figure it all out, but I'll make the fucking argument every day that the real estate market is way better than it was in 2008, and that the technical markets, or I should say tech sector of markets, is infinitely better than it was during the dot-com bubble, and that if anything, because we have raised rates so aggressively, we can loosen things up and potentially help markets while we benefit from the decline in China. I'm still gonna harp on that drum because I believe that's the truth, and I think that's what's going to happen. So I can't be a doomist. I can't just look towards everything being bad, because I find generally that in life, 99.99% of the time it's good, right? So if it's good and things turn out all right, why always plan for the doom? Don't get me wrong, there's going to be times where things are cyclical. And when global liquidity slows down, I'm going to be more worried about, how markets do. And that might be a time to be more deployed into cash, but I don't think the time is right now. All right, over here on Bitcoin. Says there are legit people selling and leaving this space at the moment, right before the bull run. All you have to do is stay patient. This is one of the reasons I'm not online enough, or enough online as much right now on YouTube or even X some days, is because I find that people just want to see, like, they want to hear like, oh, this chart looks great and we're going up, and they want guarantees and things that I just can't give right now. But patience will pay off, I think, greatly for Tesla, greatly for Bitcoin, maybe for some of these other investments too, but they're lower conviction for me. It's doing really well for Palantir right now. I could see maybe Hood does okay, but again, these PE ratios are getting high on some of these companies. But I do believe that there's areas of the market that are going to do really well in the future, and you should be invested in them. And I think Bitcoin is like a fucking no-brainer right now. I think Tesla is too. And be patient. Just fucking be patient and work hard. And a couple years from now, you should be pretty happy, in my opinion, as a non-financial advisor. This says, from Cedric, it says, take out a $600K loan for a house or an $80K loan for a car. I just took out a $100K loan for a truck, actually. Pay 7% interest. I got a better deal than that. Over 5 to 30 years, and people will congratulate you. That's true. Now, dollar cost average $1,000 into Bitcoin a month, and people will say it's too risky. It's fucking stupid. This is stupid. This is so fucking stupid and true at the same time. People will tell you that you're being too risky with your money. Get heavily indebted, guys. Get heavily indebted into a bunch of shit you don't need. But God forbid you put money in one of the strongest assets on the planet. How nuts are you? All right. I wanted to make sure that people understand this too. So there's this post talking about how nearly 481 million in liquidated longs occurred in the last 24 hours for Bitcoin long positions across Binance, OKX, and HTX. Now, I said once these dipshits stop using leverage to go long, Bitcoin will take off, and that's what happens. Now, and then somebody was asking about it, and they asked for an explanation. I said leveraged longs have to cover pushing prices lower. So when they drop the price really hard, that's what happened here. They had to cover, drops the price even more, and so you wipe out the range that you have of like tons of people that are long or short in those zones that are due for liquidation. And so the rocket fuel for the downside is getting consumed right now, and it's almost gone. But to the upside, it's billions of dollars. And so when this thing turns around, the incentive coming here soon, I'm saying, is the price going higher and liquidating shorts, because people aren't going to be long anymore. They're going to give up. And when the leverage longs give up, that's when we'll actually go up. So keep that in mind. Also, I'm not a huge fan of Ethereum, but I do believe that it's probably going to do well here soon with an ETF coming. Now, they just said Ethereum supply on exchanges is an 8-year low. I mean, Bitcoin's, I think, near that too. Meanwhile, institutional demand will be unlocked through ETH ETF in July. You don't need to have a degree to understand what's about to happen. I do agree. It will probably do well. Kevin Svensson, this guy's a cool guy. He came up in, was it 2017? Or was it last year? No, it's probably like 2020. He started to become bigger in the investing world for crypto, specifically Bitcoin mainly. But he said, every time market sentiment gets this bad, we're putting in another higher low within a macro uptrend. And somehow every time people convince themselves that it's over, buy the dips, stop being a baby. Or I would say like little bitch. And again, this is pretty clear. And I agree with it 100%. Listen to him. Don't be a little bitch. Robert Breedlove, he said, translation, advanced national economies are broke, buried in debt, and full of old people. As such, these nations will need to steal more money to make ends meet. Bitcoin is the only way to store purchasing power that cannot be stolen. Now, I do want to show something here. So this is Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock. Again, I love him or hate him. I'm starting to like him a lot more. I don't know if I love him. But he's talking to a bunch of the G7 leaders of the world, right? about their indebtedness and how the things are going to change in the future. I want to watch this. It's only 2 minutes, real quick here.
The IMF and the World Bank were created 80 years ago when banks, not markets, financed most things. Today, the financial world is flipped. The capital markets are the biggest source of private sector financing, and unlocking that money requires a different approach than the bank balance sheet model of yesterday. There's still a lot of work to be done, but reform over the past 8 months have resulted in billions of new dollars for the developing countries' infrastructure. That's what you saw last week with the announcement of the Investor Coalition. BlackRock, GIP, KKR, and other major firms will deploy $25 billion in Asia's emerging economies. In a way, it's an Indo-Pacific counterpoint to Italy's Mattei plan, which is helping African economies grow, and that's important. Every country in the world needs a growth strategy. But if I could convey one more important message today, it would be the countries that need growth most right now are not just emerging economies. Great economic powers, including the G7, are in fact on the list and need growth going forward. All of us are staring down a growth dilemma. Whether we solve it or not, it's a significant economic fork in the road for our countries. Today, the G7 average debt to GDP is 129%. No matter how much we tax, how much we cut or reduce.
Look how fucking uncomfortable Trudeau is. That just makes me laugh. At some point, I like this guy, but that was obviously foolish.
That debt, it will not be enough. The only way we can achieve this future of growth is by truly growing out of it. But just growth is becoming more important because we need to be focusing on our fiscal health. It is also becoming much more difficult to achieve. Within 25 years, most of the G7 countries will be on demographic downslope. Working age population will decline. The ceiling on growth will get lower and lower. This is why building new infrastructure is critical, especially through public-private partnerships. Infrastructure investments is a counterforce to the high debt, low growth economies.
So I actually love what he had to say there. I mean, he's 100% right. We need to be fiscally more responsible. There's no doubt of that. But this is not a time to cut back on spending per se either, because we do need to spend our way out of it. The question is, how do we do it in an effective way? And I think what he's saying with a combination of public and private, where we use capitalism to do it, is the way to do it. And again, I'll beat this drum again, just AI, autonomy, and robotics are going to be able to benefit us a lot if we continue to embrace them in the way we are. So I think we still can see a melt up. I think the money printer has to go burr across all these countries. There's just too many of them that are heavily indebted and that have low growth and that need more. So it's going to happen. It's the future. All right, Thomas from Hey Apollo. I love this guy. He talks about how dominance is setting new highs for Bitcoin, or at least highest since April of 2021. ETF flows will send that higher. I believe that to be true too. We're seeing right now altcoins get squeezed, but we're seeing Bitcoin doing really well. Now Willie Woo, he says Bitcoin price action creates weak men. I love this. I love this. And then he said, weak men create boredom. Boredom creates strong men. Strong men create excitement. Are you entertained? And all he's saying is that, again, people get bored in Bitcoin and they leave. And that's the weak men, right? Those are the ones that will disappear. And the boredom creates strong men. It's people like me that will fucking stay here and ride it out and or buy the dip and then gain heavily as people are jumping in and going, oh my God, we're making so much money now. And you've been here the whole time. You will feel a lot less foolish than these weak men or women. Dennis Porter, huge breaking. The Idaho Republican Party announces it will protect the right to use Bitcoin and oppose the creation of a CBDC. You're seeing a lot of red states pushing against CBDCs and pointing towards Bitcoin as being something that can solve that. Need to see more blue states. There are people that are doing it, but we need to see them continue to break away from people like Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and others that continually bash on Bitcoin and crypto markets, and or when it's convenient, try and make it sound like they're a friend of it. I mean, that definitely is not Elizabeth Warren. All right, Luke, he said 20,000 Bitcoin have been accumulated by whales on this recent correction. This is the highest inflow into accumulation addresses ever. So look at these numbers here. Look at the growth we're seeing from whales jumping in to Bitcoin. The rich know what's up. You should be on that train. My 2 cents. All right, yeah, here's the one from Mike Alfred. He talked about how the U.S. public Bitcoin miner, I talked about this a second ago, market cap, including gigawatts of secured power and dedicated infrastructure, is less than the value of XRP, a worthless shitcoin printed to enrich the founders of Ripple. I literally cannot believe what I'm seeing. We are so early. Again, I just think this speaks to the upside and the multiplier effect that I still expect in miners. I believe MicroStrategy is a 2x. I believe some miners are 3 to 4. It's been big on the AI narrative recently here for some of those miners. And maybe that continues this cycle, or maybe it doesn't. Not sure, but it doesn't matter much either way. We're going up. Now, Titan of Crypto, he's a good job. He does a really good job with graphs and just finding patterns. And he visualizes them well. So he said, what's more obvious than a double top about to play out on the weekly time frame to scare and shake out the majority? Many will be left at this train station. He's just pointing back to what happened not too long ago, back in May to August of 2023, where we chopped sideways on Bitcoin and everybody's like, what the fuck is wrong with Bitcoin? And then what happened? Then we went from, being in the 20,000s to getting up to 70. So again, be a little bitch and don't be patient. And then look around in a year and you can cry like this little bitch right here. Okay? But I wouldn't do that. That's not what I recommend. I would try and focus on what matters. Dang it. Did I get moved around here? Son of a gun. Let me scroll back up. There's a bunch of good slides in here, guys. So many fucking slides today. All right. Yes. Carl Quintanilla, whatever his name is. All right. It says, we revise our up Bitcoin price expectation to 200K cycle by 2025 versus 150K earlier. Our base estimates Bitcoin at 200K by 2025. And I don't know who, Bernstein is the company that was raising their targets here. And they're saying that they believe MicroStrategy can hit 2,900% or $2,900. I think it can go well beyond that. Dylan LeClaire. He's just pandering for votes. Correct. Welcome to politics. I think he's talking about Donald Trump here. He goes, we are a real movement with a large amount of capital, influence, and political power. It's time to flex our muscle. We vote for the candidate that does the most for us. Simple. Earn our vote. And right now, I would say that person is Donald Trump. It certainly isn't Biden. We'll see if that changes in the future, but I do agree we need to support the people that support us. And Bitcoin, I believe, is one of the greatest things for America and the world. So I'm sure as fuck going with whoever does that. Having progress, 4%. So this is just showing that after the halving, 4% into it, I believe, if I'm reading this right, that after the halving, you can see what happens next. So they're drawing the line here at these halvings a little bit into it. That's where you're seeing this 4% number. And look at what happens afterwards. Look at what happens. This one got neutered. I think it should have been up here, but we raised rates at the most aggressive rate in history, so we didn't. But I think this would have been higher, and I think we're getting ready to scream again. The pattern is very clear. Matthew Schultz, talking from CleanSpark, he says 18 months ago, folks thought Bitcoin and crypto were the same thing. 12 months ago, banks were discontinuing research coverage of Bitcoin miners. 6 months ago, Bitcoin ETFs broke and set new records for all-time demand. 4 days ago, we sat down with Donald Trump to talk. Sat down with Donald Trump to talk about how Bitcoin is freedom. 3 days ago, Donald Trump flipped a 180 and started praising Bitcoin, especially for campaign contributions. 2 days ago, Thomas Massey called to abolish the Fed after reading Saifedean Ammous's book, The Bitcoin Standard. AB Insights calls for Bitcoin to hit $1 million, but you should probably wait to see if it catches on or if it's just a fad. That last part is not financial advice. Fuck yeah, Matthew Schultz. 100% agree with your comments, man. A lot is changing with Bitcoin, and you need to be a part of that. All right. This one from Pierre Rochard. It says, Breaking ERCOT recommends that Bitcoin mining in Texas should be directly integrated as a controllable load resource, or CLR, to increase reliable grid balancing. If you can't see this pattern in Texas, ladies and gents, there's a lot of shit happening there. We've got Tesla becoming incorporated. You're going to have all these companies from Delaware that aren't woke liberal companies and that are afraid of being attacked in the future moving to fucking Texas. You've got exchanges building in Texas. You've got their energy getting fixed by Bitcoin in Texas. You've got some of the biggest supporters of Bitcoin in Texas. You have the biggest Fortune 500 companies in Texas. Texas is the new California, and it will be the fifth or maybe fourth largest economy in the world before you know it. Mark my fucking words. All right, Vivek, 1 billion worth of Bitcoin just moved off Coinbase. Whales are buying the dip big time. Yes, agreed. This shows the distribution of 21 million Bitcoin. So 57% of that is distributed amongst individuals. 17.6% of it is already lost. By the time we've got full issuance of Bitcoin, or I should say save in the next 20 years, I wouldn't be surprised if that was 20%, maybe 25% that are lost forever, creating even greater amounts of scarcity. Only 3.6% are corporations. Only 3.9% are ETFs. Only 2.7% are governments. Only 6.6 are left to be mined. And Satoshi has 5.2, but he fucking gone. And he's never getting those again. And then miners have 3.4%. This is insane. You got to understand this. There's so much, this individual, there's so many of these governments and ETF dollars and corporations that are going to be grabbing more of this in the future. It's just insane. Justin spotted Bitcoin ETF. This is a few days old, but is set to go live in July, it looks like, the beginning, around the 2nd. I think this is good enough. Taiwan creates Bitcoin and Crypto Industry Association on the government's guidelines. Again, just everywhere we look, there's so much positive shit right now for Bitcoin. It's blowing my mind. So anyway, so we've covered the economic stuff, macro stuff, a little bit of markets. We've covered Bitcoin and finance, I think, pretty darn well. Let me catch up with chat a little bit here real quick. Love that, Cedric. Hello, visiting from South Africa. Awesome. Albert, longer term thought. If BTC becomes the store of value, can we see a minor war with only several best of them staying? The rest, you'll see miners all around the world. You will see wars, essentially. The Soft War book from Jason Lowry is literally about Bitcoin being used instead of kinetic wars. It's a really good read. It's a huge book, but it's a good read and one I'd recommend highly. But yeah, you will see stuff like that. And there'll be these all over the world, but I would love to see the United States be the biggest participant in these wars. Albert, and becoming a gigantic hundreds of billion-dollar companies like in the process. Yes, I could see that. I don't know who that is. Maybe it becomes governments too, partially. They could throw money at it in order to take market share, but who knows? It'll be interesting because, again, you have all these bodies that are fighting against it, right? Or that are fighting for controlling share of Bitcoin. We've got individuals, we've got corporations, we got ETFs, we got governments, we got all the miners trying to get the stuff that's already been mined. There's just a lot. All right, switching topic. I'm going to talk a little bit about Tesla, and then I'll start rolling through some charts here. I will let me do this before we get too far into that. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna skip charts for now. I get too caught up in that shit. I don't want to focus on it. I want to focus on what really matters. So here we go. Roland posted, today was the highest number of daily Tesla deliveries in Norway since September of 2023. So we're seeing, again, strong increases in Norway. It sits right around here. So it's nice to see an uptick in the country. I'd like to see that more. Tesla Chan, he posted insured numbers in China. They appear to be close to what they were in May, which were up substantially from April, and still lagging maybe a little bit from March, up significantly from February, up significantly from January. So we're doing all right in China. And again, this doesn't necessarily reflect a low amount coming out of China because some of their stuff isn't just getting insured. It's not just getting insured in China. It's going overseas, right? Now, I got to show this. Okay, this is great. All right. So why electric vehicles? Because it's obvious. Now, I got to show this to you because this is just so fucking good. This is just so fucking good. This is basically mocking people who are like, "Oh, ice is the best." Blah. Why would we use electric? This is like the anti version of the ice, showing what it would look like if instead of using electric for all the other things we use in our daily life, we used internal combustion engines instead. Like we're fucking steampunk. Oh, wait a second. I screwed up. There we go. I love this fucking thing. Oh, it's so fucking good. I didn't even see that part. He pours some gas in it. Oh, it's fucking great, man. So yeah. So again, I want to reiterate, you can hate the fact that something is changing in life, or you can try and understand it and embrace it. And I've never been the person who kind of holds on to all the things of the past, even though I might have nostalgia and appreciate them. I don't want a razor that's going to spew out toxic fumes just so it can shave my beard. I'll take electric like every fucking else, every other fucking thing we use in our lives, right? Thank you very much. So if you don't believe in an electric future, you're just wrong, man. You're just wrong. You're not living in the current times, and you should try. All right, and a Tesla Chan again, just showing advertising in China and what's going out in parts of Asia, talking about self-driving, improving driving safety to 11.4 times the average level, and how it's essential for driving. And you're seeing a lot of that. You're seeing FSD get approval in numerous cities here soon in China and starting to kick off. Just extra revenue, guys, an extra $98. I think that's what it is in China right now for this. Really brilliant stuff. Again, Dr. Paul, I just think of him as the eco guy. He said the world added a historic 510 gigawatt of renewable capacity in 2023, equivalent to the entire power capacity of Germany, France, and Spain combined. Again, power increases wealth. Printing fiat decreases wealth and distributes it to others, including mostly government, right? But and people who own assets, but like energy growth is good, and look at the energy growth. This is what we want to see. Elon talked about Tesla megapacks massively increasing electric power generation efficiency as they can buffer power at night for use in the day, dramatically reducing the need to build new power plants. It also allows for the least efficient power plants to be shut down. People always get confused about renewable energy and saying that it's not stable for the grid, but we're building out battery systems like crazy, and Tesla is able to get lithium batteries for fucking nothing because the prices have plummeted. Again, let's see what is lithium at today, guys? How much more has lithium dropped? Let's just look here. Look at this rock bottom prices here. This is just insane to me. Let's go to the monthly. Look at this. We were up here. The CNY, the Chinese yuan, we were at 574,000 per ton for lithium, and now we're at 96,000. So massive decreases in prices, and Tesla is a huge benefactor of that because if they're not selling cars, even if there is some kind of recession, they can just ramp up energy, of which they have years of demand. Not to mention the 2 million pre-orders for the Tesla Cybertruck that we're still waiting on too, right? Not a new Tesla record day in Italy yet, but the highest daily sales since November of last year. At this rate, June could be a new record month for Tesla in Italy. Look at this. This looks like one of the most powerful ones ever in the country's history. So signal here, guys. Signal. Elon Musk is teasing about Master Plan 4, calling it epic. We put AI robots and robotaxi. That's exactly what it's going to fucking be. We have August 8th coming soon for the robotaxi. There is so much positive narrative building up behind Tesla right now. You'd have to be a fool not to see it. And I saw somebody, I don't remember who it was, one of these Tesla people, talking about a price target for Tesla of $30 fucking dollars potentially in the near future. That is the dumbest shit I have heard in a very long time. And don't get me wrong, I was the person who was calling for the potential of a 60, but there were a lot of factors that had to play out to make that happen. And I'm seeing nothing like that in our future. And then we had this awesome wick up here, just destroying a lot of this. And look at this. We're above peak volumes, which are showing here in the 180s. When I go all the way back to 2021, we're seeing that we're above peak volumes now. This is good stuff. If we can continue to find support here, we're going up and testing the 200s in short order, I still believe. And there's so much good stuff on the horizon. Don't be super negative on Tesla. It's a mistake. And then Tesla Energy says, excited to be working with Octopus Energy to bring Powerwall homes across the UK and Spain. There's just money. You know, everybody talks about how you want multiple revenue streams to get rich, right? What do you think Tesla does? What do you think they specialize in? I'm going to say multiple revenue streams. They're like some of the best at this in the entire world. Oh, I better refresh my cache. I don't think I'm showing everybody this here. There we go. That's a little better. All right. But yeah, so again, just pay attention to what's happening here. Let's see. Working on the master plan 4. Okay, that we already talked about that. Herbert talks about, I like him too. Herbert kind of speaks his own mind, which I like. Again, you kind of know this of me. It says Tesla is set to gain FSD approval in Hangzhou, China. Tesla has gained approval to test its advanced driver assistance, ADAS, on select streets in Shanghai. The local officials in Hangzhou are considering approval for Tesla to test there as well, but it has not been given yet. Approval to operate FSD in China is seen as crucial for Tesla to gather extensive driving data and enhance its neural network. I would agree with that. I think also just to increase their revenue stream and margins. Let's see, that's Italy. We kind of already talked about that one. Perfect bounce so far. My boy, Steve Urkel dude, who I believe is a white dude, but fascinated with Steve Urkel. Don't know all the details behind that. He's great, though. He's a wonderful dude. And and he talks about the pattern here where we're starting to break out of a long trend that began at the beginning of January of 2024. So 6 months that we've been underneath this and that we back tested it, but we're looking to break out higher. And I agree. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think we're going much lower. Time will prove me right or wrong very soon, but you've heard it here. I think we're going higher, guys. Jeff Lutz, I love him. He's got a lot of experience in manufacturing, so he's got a lot of appreciation for these things. He said the 1,000 in 1 week in April to 1,300, these are Cybertrucks last week, is pretty staggering increase on product of this complexity. The way to think about it is 30% in 6 weeks or so. That's a lot. Congrats to that team. So he's talking about 30% growth in production units for the Tesla Cybertruck in a period of 6 weeks. That is a fucking huge ramp. This thing's doing better than the Model 3 ramp, guys. So, and they've been doing foundation series, so they're getting paid a lot more up front, which benefits their margins. So if you're looking for them to do really shitty in Q2, I feel bad for you, son, because I don't think that's happening. And I think Q3 will be even better. Q4 will be even better. I think people need to pay attention to this. Let me look at questions again real quick, make sure I'm not missing too much. Amazing and memorable ad. Yeah, about that ice ad. The thing's so great. I'm gonna play that to all my friends that like to coal roll. Disease Kodak. Bitcoin has me hyped. I'm going to be insane. Yes, it is. Matt Nintendo shareholder meeting was fire. It was total fucking fire. If you guys missed that, I did a live stream. It was great. And I think I did a good job in the stream too. So check it out. Disease Kodak. I have Master and Clean Spark starting to buy actual Bitcoin too. If I want an ETF, should I get IBIT? I feel like that might be the strongest to buy. No clue though. Me personally, just from me, I do not focus on the ETFs right now. I focus on MicroStrategy and the miners. As I make a bunch of money off of them, I start to reallocate that towards the ETFs for like a longer term hold in my public account. And then I also add to my hardware wallet stack, which I don't talk about. But I do put into both of those because I dial in basically from the high multiples or multiplier investments to the lower ones as we get near the end of the cycle. So that's my playbook. Also, what other miners? UN, just clean. So I've got money in my biggest position is Clean Spark. Then I have Mara as well, and then I have Cipher. I don't think I have any bit farms at all right now. Let me just check real quick. So I can tell you at least but I've got to split up amongst multiple accounts. I could have some bit farms, maybe in a long-term one as well that I bought a while ago. It's very possible. So that's pretty much it though for the miners. And then I have MicroStrategy. I have a pretty large position in that too. Let me see roughly what I have. Sorry, I'm just checking my other screen. All right, I'll let that grind while I'm looking at the rest. MicroStrategy, I think I have about 350, maybe 400,000 in that. So I got a decent chunk. Mara's a couple 100,000, maybe a little bit more than that. Clean Spark is close to 400,000. Cipher is about 150,000. And then again, I might have some bit farms. So I got a decent amount. And then I got a bunch of shit coins. Oh, I got some Ethereum too through Ethi and through actual investments in it. Yeah, anyway, so Tesla put in here, made the impossible with the Cybertruck. Our goal is to ramp to 2,500 units by the end of a week by the end of the year. So that's 10,000 units a month or 120,000 a year, which is pretty awesome for 2024 and their first year of real ramping. If they can do 120,000 a year, then I would expect them to be able to do at least 250,000 the next. If not, I would say over 300,000 is probably more likely for 2025. So you'll see a lot of Cybertrucks on the road here soon. Very, very exciting times. He has Cipher. Yes, I do. I thought he got out, but I was wrong on that. CLSK. Yeah. The only thing I might be fully out of is Bit Farms, and then I exited Hut and that other shit a while ago. And they might do good. It doesn't. I mean, a lot of people spend a lot of time on miners, right? And understanding all the nuances of them. I used to run a mining facility and had over $100,000 worth of equipment and a warehouse. I know the gist of how it works. I placed my bets on what I think are going to be the best opportunities. I might be wrong on that. I really don't care much, though, if I'm getting anywhere like a 3 to 4x, because all the tides rise except for the ones that fail. All I wanted to do is remove risk. And that's what I did, or at least my perception of risk. Master the game. Watching this in my Tesla after it just drove us to the dentist. That's fucking awesome. People have no idea how good FSD is. Disease Kodak put fire. Mark Bentley, you mentioned lithium mining. That's what Rio Tinto does. Musk recently encouraged investors to look into He encouraged investors years ago to look into lithium mining and said that it was going to be a cash cow. And he's probably right for the long term. But the problem is all of the lithium miners have done what I think these AI Bitcoin companies are doing right now, where they bought a shit ton of equipment and they started mining like crazy, and everybody kind of did the same thing at the same time. And then they're like, oh shit, demand is dropping because all these companies in China are going to fail. And all the legacy EV makers in the United States are fucking giving up or slowing down. I mean, GM, I think, had one of their best quarters, so they're starting to ramp. But so lithium prices, I think, will continue to stay low for a while. There is nothing pulling them higher, and if anything, they look like they're going to roll over more. So I don't like the lithium business. Maybe you could start dabbling into it now. I mean, I do think that Tesla and some companies in China will probably continue to be leaders in the consumption of lithium in the future here. So prices probably will end up coming back up. So there might be some plays in the future. I just don't know if they're now. Maybe they're 6 months, maybe they're a year from now. But you're probably thinking the right thing, Mark. You're looking ahead and saying, are there good plays in this? Is it worth investing in? I can't give you that answer right now, but that is something that I'm curious about as well. I did do a bunch of research on lithium years ago, but then I jumped out really quickly because I just saw the imminent demise of them and didn't want to be a part of it. Sawyer Merritt said, news, Tesla's begun its fight for legal recognition of shareholder vote favoring Elon's pay package, telling Delaware judge that it significantly impacts a ruling avoiding the pay. So basically they're trying to do the next step to get it to where he gets his pay. Tesla ramping Cybertrucks, aiming to produce. Yep, I already saw that. Skip that. This is just showing where we are in this consolidation channel that goes back to June of 2023 and how it looks like we might have a springboard to get us to the 200s, which is kind of what I'm seeing from my charting too. More detail from Eunice Yoon. I love this lady. She appears on CNBC quite a bit. She's very honest about China as much as she can be for somebody who lives in Beijing. I love her. She's a sweetie. Great follow. She said Shanghai is allowing 10 Tesla vehicles to carry out tests of the company's most advanced autonomous driving software to pave way for its rollout in China. Local government backed the Shanghai Observer said on Friday. Shanghai allows Tesla to carry out full self-driving pilot. So again, we're starting to see that in Shanghai, and then we saw in Zhangzhou or whatever it was that we were going to see more of that as well. Here's Sawyer Merritt. This is some of the stuff that you might have missed if you didn't pay attention to the investor day. But it says, Elon said, my prediction is we'll have over 1,000, maybe a few thousand Optimus robots working in our factories in 2025. Imagine that. They're not going to have to worry about medical insurance for these things. They're not going to have to worry about 401k matches, stock purchase. They're not going to have to worry about any of these things and paychecks or their inability to work more than 40, 50, 60 hours a week. They could go hundreds of hours a week. This is a big deal. This is a big deal, and you're going to see more of it, and there's already a couple of them working in the factory right now. This was Peggy posted this. It just showed how inventories are starting to decline for Tesla. I believe today I'm currently seeing that as well. Yeah, it's not totally noticeable. Oh, wow. It is. Wait a sec. Let me pull this over. So one thing to point out here, look at the wicked drop in Tesla Model 3 inventory. Woohoo, in pink. So this thing just fell off a cliff. And look at all of these. Dude, they're continuing to go down more. The Model Y is the only thing that's kind of tabling off here. And I think that's because people are starting to get excited about a refresh. That's why they're dampening some of that. But look at this, man. We're starting to see some actual declines in inventory here. And I can tell you the X isn't building up the Cybertruck isn't building up in inventory for sure. So that's good. So you can see major drops even since this was posted, on the 17th, just yesterday. All right. Holmar's catalog said, funny how the Tesla bears tried to convince us the vote would never pass and Elon would never get the options. And yet, look what happened. All right. I think that's enough for the Tesla part of this conversation. Let me see if there's anything else I want to cover real quickly. I think I have a few things on China I might want to talk about. And then I'll just go through some actual charts here. And then I'll look at comments here again in a second, too. Yeah, I think, okay. China. Let's go China. All right. Oh, yeah, I did want to talk about this. So this is Brad Setzer. He focuses pretty much on macro view into China. And he talked about Chinese auto exports. I know there's people that are like, oh, free trade, we should be blah, 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 whatever. But here's what you need to understand. Look at what happened for automotive vehicle exports for China shortly after the pandemic happened. Look at this. They went from 1 million a year, roughly, and passenger vehicles is in blue here. The other one's just all, to what is now 5 million in passenger vehicles. They were like at 900,000 before. 5 million in passenger vehicles and almost 6 million in total vehicle exports. China is trying to destroy the auto sectors across the world, especially the West. So they're working hard to push these things out and incentivize production of these at a loss while trying to help these companies survive. So remember this. When we're putting tariffs on China, it's not because we just like, oh, hey, we can't keep up, so we just want to, keep China from, fucking us over. China has an orchestrated effort to destroy the West in auto sales. They want to take all of the auto sales from Europe. They want to take all of it from legacy automotive. And if they could take it from Tesla, they would fucking do that too. But they can't. So just keep that in mind. New home prices in China, this is from yesterday, fell for the 12th straight month. Look at this. Since 2021, home prices in China have just been dropping and dropping and dropping. There are parts of China where houses cost 50% less than they did before the pandemic. Some cases are worse. So if you feel like, oh, the U.S. isn't doing good, don't bitch about how you've made 40 to 50 fucking % on your real estate over the last 4 years when these poor motherfuckers are losing everything. And some of these people don't even have the house because the way they were doing it there is you get the loan and pay for it while they're building it. And so a lot of these people will never see their fucking home that has lost 50% of its value and that they cannot have the debts forgiven on because China doesn't have a bankruptcy system. They just won't let you fly on a fucking plane or a train. So imagine being in this situation. This is what a lot of people are having to deal with. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions here soon of people in China are having to deal with. So count your fucking blessings. Be happy you live in America, if you do. I don't want to hear you bitching. All right, Jerome Blockland. The real estate recession in China shows no signs of abating. And again, it's just a different way of looking at it, talking about the same thing. It's horrible. It's on pace for a depression. This says depreciation, a depression. You need to realize that. Also, some of this has calmed down, but Russian banks were having long lines for people trying to get U.S. dollars. I think that they're actually running out of U.S. dollars, and we're going to see a lot of problems with them in the future. And this will be the last thing I talk about, and then we'll jump over to the rest of the charts. I talked about all the disputes that Beijing has with its neighbors. So this is not to be ignored. When you look here, you can see that they have disputes, and these are people they just actively fuck with. Philippines, Vietnam, Japan, Nepal, Bhutan, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Laos. And then there's a part of Russia in the upper corners here that they believe is theirs too. So that didn't make the list. I don't know why, but China even wants to consume parts of Russia. So that lets you know how good their friendship is. All right. So I think we covered a lot. I'm going to jump now into other charts. We'll just dial through each of them here. Let's look at, let me jump back over to Bitcoin. I don't even know if I looked at the chart that much. So we're underneath the fib. It looks like we're trying to gain a little bit of a bounce here. Here's the only thing I want you to focus on, though, with Bitcoin is where we are. Look at this. Let's just get rid of all the noise. Let's just hide it all. And just look at this, okay? This is a massive amount of support we have over here. Massive. It will prevent us from falling. I don't know if we'll even go much lower than we are. Again, we could go into the 50s. Maybe we dipped into the 50s as some idiots panic as we hit this very strong base over here. Possible. Don't care. Focus on what's coming. Don't be short-sighted. Don't be a fucking idiot. MicroStrategy. Down 2.5% today, so getting a little pressure. Looks like it's retracing back to the 50 moving average. Though, would expect that we continue to push higher. I don't hate this chart at all. When looking at it, this is what it looks like to me. Looks kind of like a bull flag. It's a long-ass one. And they could still break down. Shit can happen. But, we could break down really to this 100 moving average area in the 1200 range. But I think we're going to go a lot higher. A lot higher. So that's my take there. And let's look at Mara. And then I'll get to your guys' charts. And yeah, sorry I wasn't around yesterday. For people who do not know, the stock market is closed tomorrow, so I probably won't be doing anything tomorrow. And since things failed yesterday, I think I'll probably just do, since today is Tuesday, I'll do Tuesday and Thursday this week since things are a little weird. And I might even do a weekend special. We'll see. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you guys a lot of really cool information and value when we do one. And I think less is more sometimes, and I don't want to just... I want to just dump a lot of this at once so you can really, soak it up. Anyway, Mara above the 200 moving average, still looking strong in my opinion, up 1.3% on the day and 0.1% after hours. I think people, it's funny. People ask me so many times, oh my God, Jesse, what's going on with the miners? Why is Bitcoin holding up and the miners aren't doing well? Yada, yada, yada. And well, guys, the Bitcoin's down today, down fucking 3% earlier today. And there's miners that are up. So nobody asked me why the fucking miners are doing good now. Nobody fucking does. Nobody does. They're just like, oh, okay, back to normal. Okay, whatever. CleanSpark. CleanSpark was up 1.25 today. It looks like it's ready to break out. This looks actually really beautiful. I don't hate this at all. Even if we draw it like this, This is nice looking. This is a bull flag. This is great price action. Had tons of opportunity to break down and just can't do it. And we're looking to go higher and have been going higher. So congratulations to everybody who owns CleanSpark. It's probably treated you really well. And again, there's some of these others. I don't really follow them much, but like Iron, and I'll pull up Cypher here in a second. Iron was down today, 3.46. But again, it's had a stupid fucking run, right? Like it was at $4 and then it got up to 15. So I don't want to hear any Iron people bitching. They're doing quite well. Cypher looks like something that's getting ready to break out, right? Look at how many times. There's this rule about when you touch something a bunch of times, the chance that you break through it becomes higher and higher and higher. I'm going to argue that we have been touching this line for a while and that it's almost like a cup and a handle. And this is a small cap. It's a 1.5 billion. I can't say like super small because Bitfarms is still probably smaller than that. Let's look. Actually, let me save. No, I don't want to say that. Let me pull up Bitfarms, and we'll just look at that real quick. So Bitfarms is only 1.26. Well, Bitfarms is caught up. Bitfarms caught up. So yeah, Cypher, if anything, is looking like it deserves its opportunity to run. So I would not be surprised to see Cypher outperforming Bitfarms here in the near future. Oh, Palantir. Fuck yeah, we'll do that in a second. Yeah, let's do it now, actually. So we'll jump in from crypto stuff. We're going to jump over to Palantir here. Palantir had a great day, up 3.2%. Continues to push higher. Again, my one share has benefited greatly from this. In hindsight, I probably should own more, but that's fine. I still don't think I'm going to get the return on this that I will get from these other investments, and I'm sticking to it. So you guys can call me an idiot later, or you can call me fucking brilliant. I think you're going to call me fucking brilliant. We'll see. But I do want to point something out here. As much as I love Palantir, and as much as I think they're going up, it is at a forward PE of 75 and a PE ratio of 204. These are high numbers. When Tesla was at a 400 PE, it took years to regain its valuation. I do think that Palantir is in a better situation than Tesla was at 400. And so I'm not super worried about the price coming down. And this is great that we're testing higher. We could see a test at least up to 27, and maybe we finally test 30. That would be a cool place. We even have a little gap over here if you look in the 31 range. So maybe we even get to 31. That said, we're going to start seeing diminishing returns. The stock is almost $60 billion now. Not that it's not going to grow in the years ahead. I think it'll actually do really well. But let's say it went to the all-time high of, no, way back over here in 2021. That's 78% from where we're at, and that's a great fucking number. Don't get me wrong. Arnie would be very happy. Amit would be very happy with this number. But I require more because I'm a greedy fucker. And so this isn't enough for me. It would be if I end up making 500 to 1,000% on some of these other investments, then I would just fucking again, I plan on putting $1 million in Palantir, at least maybe $2 million in Palantir in the future. And I want to invest in Anduril too. Maybe $1 million in Palantir and $1 million in Anduril. I don't know. Whatever I can do. And let me go back here. All right, so let's look at others. Let's just roll through the list here. Okay, so I had to buy it at the 7 range. Hasn't sold. Smart, man. Yeah, that's great. I made a lot of money. I made $600,000 off of Palantir last year. Of course, I put a lot of those bets into PayPal and SoFi and a couple of others that have sucked. So one could say I basically lost all that money that I made off of Palantir. But I will not say that. I actually think I can make some of that up. But I'm an optimist, so we'll see. All right, let me jump to the next one here. Speaking of shit, let's look at PayPal. Now, I haven't changed this at all, so we could be finding a bottom here. I'm not going to bet my life on it because PayPal is full of disappointment. But I do like this. I do want to show you guys this. So this is good from a breakdown standpoint here. This is kind of good. If you look here, you can see how we're finding some support on this shelf in the visible range volume profile. And we're hitting this previous downward trend line that goes back to 2022, where it was a resistance a bunch, and then we've been finding support on it. So damn, I might even tomorrow look towards adding to 2026 calls on Palantir. I think I'm actually going to do that. We'll see. We'll see. I got to figure out what, if anything, I would sell. But I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it because I think we're at the bottom of the barrel right now on this one. And so if somebody was looking to apply capital, I think it's an interesting bet. I will say this, though. You can't discount some negative narratives. Like, again, I think there's a lot of positive, but I could see narratives in the future where people are complaining that X payment already has 28 states where they're licensed for payments, including my state of here in the Midwest. But I could see that happening even more. And again, the X payment, the CEO here, Linda Yaccarino, talking about payments are coming soon, will launch in the U.S. Let's just listen to this real quick.
And soon to be payments on the platform. So think about all of those capabilities that are bringing more and more people around the world to spend most of their lives with sheer utter convenience on the platform. Average time spent now, I think, is up to 35 minutes because there's so many new things to experience and so much information that's at your fingertips. It's only going to increase on the platform. So we're actually redefining what users will come to rely on. All
right, that's not the best speech. But essentially, what they're starting to talk about is how payments is coming soon. Now, I see this narrative being rough on PayPal. I don't know that it's true that it will affect any of their business in any way over the short term. I don't think that's true. I agree with people like Rory Crossroads on X that it's probably non-impactful to PayPal over the short term. I actually do think that PayPal too will do. If you look here at their revenue, if you look at their revenue growth, and then you look at the stock, it's kind of fucking ridiculous. I think this is a great chart. I just had to show it. From TrendSpider has some wonderful stuff. By the way, if you don't follow these guys, you should. They've got almost 400,000 followers. I love some of their work. But look at this. When you just look at the returns for PayPal and how they're doing, like I think net income on this is quarterly revenue growth. You're seeing like almost double digit, more recently slower, excuse me. But in the 7 to 9% range. Somewhere around there, almost 10. But look at this. Look at the stock price in that amount of time. It's not fair or accurate. I do think this is going to end up turning around. Also, Finfluential. If you want to follow somebody who posts a lot about PayPal and has a lot of good information on it, I would follow him. It says eBay launches Venmo payment option. That's great. I don't know. eBay is just such a dinosaur to me. I don't know if this actually means anything, but I'd be interested to see what happens with revenues in the future. But I do think that, again, Alex Chris is going to do great things with this company. And I think they're happening right now. I think advertising is a big piece of that. I like how Alex also, when people complain about it, how he jumps in and he makes things right. He is the kind of person you want. And don't forget this either. Citigroup adjusts PayPal Holdings price target to $81 from $79, keeps buy rating. There have been a bunch of revisions that are inside of here that show how and then you even look at buyers internally, and insider activity is starting to increase, or you're seeing a lot more of that than selling. There's a lot of things happening where I think PayPal could do really well. That said, again, not everybody, the 2025 options with these, let me see, what are mine worth? I probably won't bring this over because I don't want you to see my account numbers, but PayPal, I am down on 2025 140 price target calls, 89%. So I have $38,700 worth of those 2025s, and I have lost 310,000. So that's half my Palantir gains. Pretty sad. Wah, wah. Anyway, let me see here. Let me see. I'm going to get caught up with chat real quick, and then we'll keep going. Nintendo convinced. Okay, yeah. Zach, hey Jesse, could you give me your opinion on Nvidia? It's been a monster with little to no retracement. Do you expect a good entry anytime soon? I don't honestly, man. If I was in Nvidia, I would be doing some of what I think I saw Jeremy Lafarve do from Financial Education, which is exiting some of the position. And maybe that was Meta. I don't know, but I would be lightening the load on Nvidia. If I do a comparison of NVIDIA and where a Tesla is going to be in the next couple of years, with their own chips and with the robot and with autonomy and with energy and with the EVs and with the software as a service that they're doing. I just don't think eventually things are going to slow down and come to earth. It is a $3.2 trillion company. And what is Tesla right now? Tesla is, let me pull it up over here, 589 billion. So Tesla right now is about 20% of the market cap, maybe less of Nvidia. Yeah, less than 20%. I think that's insane. Don't get me wrong, Nvidia is doing great. They're definitely the lead in AI chips, but I think some of that can change, and I would rather be in Tesla. That's me. That's me doing me. All right, let me keep rolling here and seeing what else you guys got. You guys are talking a lot more. We're picking up. I like that. Raising. Oh, wow. You guys really are chatting here. Let me see. Raising. How long do you think palladium prices will go as EV numbers rise globally and ICE is dying? I don't know. I don't know, because here's the thing, Albert, with palladium, lithium, cobalt, all this. When Tesla finds prices are getting too high for any components within their EVs, they find a way to use a different metal to be able to offset the higher prices. And so they adjust, they duck, they weave. There's amazing things that you can do with science, and they adapt. And so I think you would just see more of that. So I don't know. I don't know that I can answer that. It might not go that high. Again, look at what happened with lithium. How excited are you about lithium right now? If you bought in October of 2022 thinking it was going to the moon after it already climbed a shit ton, only to have it drop, 85% in a short period of time. I don't think that'd be very fun, would it? All right, let me see here. Also, hey Jesse and team, getting excited to see your new wrap. You'll have to post a pic. I will. I'm very excited about that. I'll post a pic when I get my wrap. Hopefully they get back to me here soon. Hopefully it doesn't look like shit, because then I'll have spent like $3,500 or $4,000 to make it look like shit. So I hope not. I hope it looks great. Albert, also technically you don't buy a home in China. You lease it. You lease it. Yeah, you borrow, because you only get the land for like I don't remember, 70 years. I don't even think it's 100. Yeah, no, it's 99. Yeah, that's probably right. It's less than 100. It's very dystopian. So even if you build a massive building, a skyscraper in China, you don't own the land the skyscraper is on, and it goes back to the government, or you pay a shit ton in fees. So you just got to remember that, man. You're just borrowing. You're always borrowing in China. There is no real capitalism, and whatever was there is gone now. Toby, hey Jesse, would you kindly help me understand why you keep keeping your PayPal 140 calls and not putting the money into longer? It's just not worth it, man. I've lost 90% of the money. There's 10% of it left. I might as well just maintain it and see if any of it comes back at this point. Or I'll just let it go to dust. I really don't give a shit. And again, I bet, I do multiple asymmetric bets. So the max that PayPal ever was in my portfolio was probably about 15% or so. With the total amount I dumped into it, it's arguably maybe just a hair higher than that. But so I place bets, and this was a lower conviction bet. It's not like Bitcoin and crypto, right, where it makes up like 60+% of my portfolio right now. So I place multiple asymmetric bets. Some of them fail, and then others do really well. And here's the thing: I could still make my money back in PayPal if we see some of this correct. I don't know what the probability of that is anymore. It could go to zero, and I lose an extra 38 grand. I don't know. I don't care. I've got almost, I think it's 150,000 now in January 2026's. And shit, they're down 35%. Yeah, I'm probably going to buy more PayPal 2026's tomorrow, because I got a 95 strike on those. That's a really good deal. So yeah, I might actually purchase more of those. But yeah, that's why, right? Like if you've already lost 90% of it and you got 10% left, I'm just going to let it ride and see if it still turns out. I could still theoretically with PayPal options, I can't remember what it was I was looking at. If it goes up to like $90, $100, I could still make a profit off my 2025s if it does that in a short enough time frame. At the very least, getting back the majority of my investment. I'll take that. If it happens, I definitely don't sell out when I'm this far off. It's not worth it. It's better to let it ride and see if it comes back. The 95 ones are actually seen to be moving quicker and have way less risk. Agreed. But again, if you've lost 90% of the capital, why put the last 10% into the 2026s? Here's the deal. If PayPal ends up doing all right this next year, it doesn't even need to double. If it goes up, what is it? What are we at right now on PayPal? $60. Well, yeah, let's say it does double, PayPal will be something where I've made at least 2x my money with my 2026s and full loss on my 2025s. So I'm not too worried about it. It's just a bet. Eric, yes. Palantir, please. Nice rip the last few days. I did that one already. Okay, so I kind of getting caught up with some of the chat. Z's Kodak, Jesse, when you start to sell MicroStrategy and miners and rotate, would you be able to tell us in detail your plan? Yes, I will. I do that all the time, man. So like if you guys are watching this, a couple days a week, you'll hear about what my plans are going forward, just like I'm doing now, right? Like I'm telling you that I'm planning on holding Bitcoin and my shit coins and my miners for probably at least another 9 to 10 months, if not another year from now. And then I'll look at liquidating as the timing comes closer to what those historical peaks are, or we've really done well in them, right? So yes, I'll keep doing that. I will telegraph to you guys everything I'm doing, man. I don't want you guys to fail, and I'm not going to leave you hanging. Disease Kodak, amount of time after the bull cycle ends. Disease Kodak, or if you just rotate in as you sell. Yeah, anytime I'm trading, I'll let you know. I haven't done, and I do need to fix this. I've sucked at this, admittedly. It's just a lot of manual bullshit, and I haven't found a way to automate it at all after lots of work. The only thing that's really off in here is I do have a Mara position, and it's not showing, and it's a decent size. It's bigger than Flux and some of these others. So I do need to update this. I'll do it tomorrow. I've said that a billion times. I'm actually going to fucking do it this time. So I do owe you guys that. So I'll give you a new portfolio allocation so you can see where everything is sitting. Because some of these things have changed a lot in value. I haven't really traded anything for like the last month, like very small amount of trades. But some of them have changed a lot just from everything that's happened over the last couple of months. So I need to update this because this is last 4/28. So yeah, 6 weeks old. So I need to fix that. So I'll do that. Already built. All right, let me see. Maybe I should sell and buy a house. Lol. Don't do that. That's probably like now is the worst time to buy a house. Not financial advice. Matt, Nintendo, I wonder what PayPal value investors think of PayPal. Man, they've probably been hurting a lot. They're probably bitter and emotionally unstable. I know there's one dude. No, he was Palantir, I think. He lost his fucking mind with Palantir. I forget his name because I blocked him a long time ago. But he basically shows his dick off to the world on X every once in a while. And he's completely psychotic from losing all of his money on Palantir. So definitely don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't lose your fucking mind investing. That's some advice that I would give to anybody. You shouldn't let emotion dictate how you invest. It's dangerous, man. It's super dangerous. If you get scared and you're looking at selling everything, I mean, maybe that's the right time. It all depends on what's happening, but you should probably be questioning a lot of what you're doing. All right, Disease Kodak, maybe I should just sell and buy a house. Okay, Tesla miners, already built my house. Miners will pay for the bank on my 20-year loan. They probably will. Albert, Jim Cramer wrote own it about NVIDIA. Party's over. Yeah, maybe. Tesla miners, follow Danny Chang for NVIDIA. Nick, hey Jesse, are you going to continue informing us when you buy and sell? Yes, already answered that. Tesla miners, don't tell anyone, but riding it too with NVDL. No, you would not do tomorrow. I will. I'm going to fucking do it. I'm updating it. Don't tease me. All right. All right, here we go. Let's get back over here again. So, all right, let's look at other things. So let's pull up Hood. How's Hood doing today? So Hood retraced 1.75%, had a good run, getting a little toppy here. I think it's just testing back to the RSI, top of the RSI channel, and it's going to go higher personally. And let's see, that's the weekly. So great run on Hood. I mean, again, I don't own a lot of Hood right now, but I will say this. The PE ratio is stupid on it. I love Robinhood. I mean, I think it's a good company. I think it is. But 150 PE, again, it's a little bit better than Palantir, but these are scary valuations right now considering everything that's going on. So I don't love the valuation. SoFi, oh, another company taking a shit. This one's just been brutalized. It is on a fib. It's on a fib. You can't hate that. So it's trying to figure something out, right? I don't know though. Again, I think we're near the bottom of this one. I'm not devoting more capital to PayPal or to SoFi right now. Out of all my convictions and investments that I'm in, this could do all right. It could also drop down to the next fib and be at the $5 range. I don't know, over the short term. The thing that concerns me about SoFi is it's a bank, and so you could still have like weird banking related concerns with this, where they're worried that it's not going to be solvent in the future because no bank is solvent. So I don't know. SoFi could still do well. I think it should bounce. Will it bounce? I don't know. Am I devoting more capital to it? Fuck no. Square. Oh, wrong one. Square has really gotten beat up recently, man. I don't know what happened. They had a really good conference call, and yet we've still just seen, after earnings. Let's go back to the daily here and look at earnings. So we had a great conference call here, right? Right here. And we started going up to $78, and now we're back down to 61. The worst part of this is there is some room to fall if we can't find support at 60. I think it's stupid. I think this is a great company, and let's just look at what their PE ratio is. And again, this is subjective, the PE ratio, in a number of ways. But it's 80, and the forward is only 18.8. So if the forward PE looks pretty juicy for a company that's embracing Bitcoin, in my opinion, I think there's a narrative there that could do all right. I might look at applying more capital to Square in the future, maybe even in options, but we'll see. In no hurry right now. ARCG, I still think this one's going to do well, but again, hasn't gotten a lot of love. Didn't really drop much today, but I don't know. This, to me, I think this is a double bottom, and I think that we're going to start pushing towards 30. I'd like to be proven wrong on that. I should make a lot of money if I do, or if it does happen. Flux, again, what the flux? I don't know. I guess my friend Lex made another video, and maybe that's why we spiked really hard to $4. It's dumb that he can move this stock this well, and I'm not devoting more capital to it right now. Looks like it made back all of its losses in after hours. This is a very small cap. It's only 51 million. So if this company does well, I'll make a bunch of money off of it. I'm not really focused on it. We'll see how they do in the future. It's a very small bet. It's a couple of percent. Even when I had, let me see over here. Yeah, even over here when I was posting, it was like 2%. It's less than that now. So is DLO. So these aren't huge investments for me by any means, and I don't spend a lot of time on the small ones. I use them as speculation and an asymmetric opportunity. DLO still looks like shit finding a bottom here. This one got fucked, and there's some weirdness here that I posted about not too long ago just on the reputation of the people behind it. I've heard the exact opposite from other people too. But again, we should have gotten a break up in this one, and instead we just kind of got down here, and instead of finding the bounce, boy, did we fall through it. From 1380, we got cut in half by 50%. I did apply a little bit of capital to some options trades for 2026 in this about a week ago, but I'm not looking to do any more anytime soon. All right, I think that's all the shit I was talking about. Let me go back over here and see what you guys might have brought up for stocks here and see if I can get through some of those. All right, and let me see what's the recent comment. Thanks, Jesse. Always appreciate your insights. You are welcome, Bert. Market's closed tomorrow, guys. You should know that. If you don't, it is closed tomorrow. And let me see. I meant, Nick, if you're going to continue tweeting the moment you buy or sell. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I haven't stopped that. I just haven't done anything. So, yeah, when I buy and sell, I'll post those trades just like I always do. I might have missed one, but yeah, no, man, I make like at least 99% of those. I actively, whenever I trade, I try to post right away. Let's see, Albert, not expecting for SoFi stock to perform until Q3 results. Maybe, I don't know. Pretty disillusioned with some of these, as it's going to be fourth consecutive quarter of profitability. That's a good point, though. Funds, only profitable companies, and have to buy it. And then you had that big fund that sold out of it recently, but again, they got it pre-IPO, so they made a shit ton. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see with SoFi. I think for me, I think the tough part is I like SoFi. I actually think the CEO is great. I think he's done a good job. He buys the stock every time it drops. He's definitely showing his dedication with his dollars. But I just look at the tech platform, which is supposed to be such a big deal, and it just doesn't seem like it's keeping up with Hood and everything they're looking to do. And I don't know, but there's room to grow. And again, I just worry about the banking concerns. They very much pride themselves as a bank, and I don't know if that's a benefit right now, being a bank. I think if anything, I don't know, maybe it's hurting them. I'm not sure. I'm not sure anymore. I've lost some of my conviction in that one. All right, let me see here. Oh, and IVCH, thank you for joining and becoming a member. If you guys could, if you could ring the bell, whatever, all that stuff helps, guys. If you could do that, I don't know how many likes we have right now, but if you could do that, that's appreciated. Now, let me see here. Hey, James, Seb just bought some iron, wondering if you managed to dive deeper and why it's so strong. I think it's strong based upon the narrative of AI contracts coming their way and for others. And I don't know how long-term strong that's going to be, but it's a very strong narrative right now, and people are benefiting from it. So kudos to those who are making money. I will say this, don't chase miners. Let them come to you. That one's run over 300% or was from the recent bottom 6 weeks ago to the top. And that's a huge increase. So don't try and play catch up. It usually hurts you. Rashab, hey Jesse, James and Seb just bought some iron, wondering if you've managed to dive deeper. Oh, okay, that's a part of that one. Yeah. I mean, that's great that they bought. I'm probably not, but I'm lazy. So I probably won't be touching miners anymore this cycle unless I'm selling them. Jake Sawaski, because again, I don't care. I don't care to spend a bunch of time on it. Jake Sawaski, Jesse, afternoon, roughly 15% of my portfolio is cash right now. Should I deploy it? Thoughts on Bill? I don't know what Bill is, but should you deploy it? That's a super personal question. I don't know what to tell you, man. It's hard to say, right? We could be in a bad time. We could be in a good time. I think we're in a good time. I don't like how the stock has done, Bill. I also don't know your financial situation. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a high school dropout who got rich off of investing and retired 4.5 years ago. And I think I'm pretty knowledgeable on a lot of stuff. But again, it's up to you on what you do with your investments. I would just try and ask questions where I can help, and maybe you can learn something from me, hopefully. But Bill Holdings, woof, this is painful. So this thing went from 2021 being up at 340 something down to $47. What does this company look like? Why did this company shit the bed so bad? Why does it still look like it is? Bill.com. So revenue's kind of flattening out, it seems like. But net income last quarter actually was positive, 31 million. Forward PE is 21. So it's not crazy high. And again, it looks like they're doing some things right. It looks like they lowered their debt. Looks like shares might be going down a little bit. So opposite of dilution. 20% year-over-year revenue growth. Not a bad number. Let's see what their estimates look like. So they're going to see maybe a little bit of a ramp in revenue. And they're forecasting positive EPS again in the future. So that's cool. Insider activity, really none since 2021-ish, 2020. It's a long time ago. Institutional ownership has been dropping. Short interest is only like 4%. Not a crazy number. I don't know enough about this company. I mean, the chart looks good. It doesn't look bad to me. I don't like how much stock-based comp is 18% of revenues. But again, they haven't made a lot of money. What are they making? Their revenue is $322 million. They're bringing in 31, so that's almost 10%. A lot of institutional, not a lot of retail interest in this one. I don't know. Did they just help people with bills? Bill.com? What the fuck is that? Let's look here. Bill.com Inc. offers cloud-based software designed to streamline, digitize, and automate complex financial operations for small and mid-sized businesses, facilitating end-to-end financial workflows and payment processing. Leveraging AI, the platform connects businesses with suppliers and clients, manages cash flow, and collaborates with major U.S. financial institutions, top accounting firms, and leading accounting software providers with offices in Palo Alto, California, and Houston and Texas. I mean, it sounds interesting. I don't know much more than that. If you got more details about it, man, I'd be curious. But yeah, so it doesn't look like it's poorly valued, and I can't tell you what to do with your investments. But yeah, the 15% might come in handy if things keep dropping. Who knows? All right, let me see here. Let me scroll down and see if I can find another ticker that you guys were interested in. Curious what you think about MicroStrategy. Okay, I already did that one. BTC. Let me go down. Albert. Hey, Jesse. JP Stowe puts, hey, Jesse, hope you're well. Do you mind making some comments on Solana? Thanks, man. I think Solana got its ass handed to it recently. Let me just look here. But I think it's pretty normal, though, for that to happen right now. I think there's a lot of focus on Ethereum and especially Bitcoin. And so for the month, I don't know if Solana's done very well at all, but none of these have. It's been kind of a shitcoin route. And you know, Solana's a shitcoin too, right? 185 is what we were at a little over a month ago. 201 is what we were at in March. And now we're significantly lower on Solana in the 130s. So again, it's taken a beating. But I also believe, can I expand this? I guess I can't. I also believe, though, that it will rebound quite a bit. The market cap is 63 billion. The market cap of Ethereum is, you know, I don't know, like 9, 10x that. So I think that Solana is going to go up a lot in the future. I think that's true. That's my thought on that. All right, Jarrett, let's see here. We got, can you check Powell Industries, power electric business? Sure. Let's look at the chart. I'm not going to save that one real quick. We'll look these up first and just see what they do and then figure out from there. Nick says, can you look at the MU Micron technology? Yeah, I'll try and get to that one too. All right, so Powell has went up a lot. So this stock, I mean, yeah, this was at 19 and now it's 164. Damn. When was this at 19? Into 2022. Okay. So in less than 2 years, this thing has went from 19 to 200 to, I mean, it went up 10x. So damn, that's a nice chart, man. I would have loved to have, you should have told me about this 2 years ago. No, I'm kidding. I wasn't even on X. But yeah, that's crazy. That's a nice return for anybody invested in it. Oh God, if I can type right. Take a few days off, learn how to type. All right, here we go. Powell. Why is this company doing so well? There's no reason for this company to be doing this well. Well, no, I guess there is. It must have just been stupid undervalued. Because right now they're an 18, 19 PE. That's not crazy at all. Even though their revenue hasn't really grown at all since 2008. They must have been hella undervalued. This would have been one where if somebody knew this, I would have loved to have seen this 2 years ago when they were 10% of what they are today. Because this is crazy. Now, I will say this. Look, they're selling. They know how much money they've made. So I don't know how good it is over the short term. And we're starting to see a rounding on some of this. I don't know. This might be a good one to take those gains and buy Tesla, in my opinion. Pete. V or VGT for long-term hold based on compound interest. Goal is to double money every 3 or 5 years for my children, starting with $200,000 in capital. Millionaires by 2025. I think there's much better investments. Let's look at V. Okay, we're talking about Visa. So here's what I don't like about Visa. I think it's old tech that's going to die. Okay. They charge you 3-4% fees on transactions. There's none of that in the future. That goes away, okay? And again, their revenue continues to grow, right? They're at, revenue growth is 10%, so barely double digits. They made 17 billion in net income last year, and quarterly they're making about 4.6 billion. But again, this is looking toppy, and cash transaction volume appears to actually be dropping. Payments could be petering out. Visa transactions, I think, they're not much greater than they were in 2022. I think this is old tech that's dying. So I think Visa's a value trap, and I think it's the wrong investment. And I think with a forward PE of 24, it's telling you that too. I don't like this company, man. I can't tell you that that's a good investment for your kids. Just because something has been a good investment, and it was a good investment for many, many years. If we look at Visa's chart here, this was a great buy. But here's the deal, man. Visa was a great buy in the financial crisis at $10. It was a great buy at the pandemic at 134, and then it doubled. This will probably be shit returns in the future. It is a $547 billion company that's getting ready to get its lunch eaten by companies like PayPal, X Payments, Square, so many other companies, and not to mention actual, crypto-related transactions that are being embraced more and more by banks. This is a fucking dinosaur, and it will die. That's my take on that. Vietnam National Text and Garmin Group. I can't tell you shit about this, bro. What is this? Is this the right VGT? Can you tell me if I've got the right thing here? I meant maybe I should buy a house after the cycle instead of IBIT. Oh, yeah. After the cycle, that might be a great idea. They might be really great rates. What is VGT? Let me just go back here. Maybe I typed something wrong. VGT. Is it this one? It must be this OTC. So it's an OTC. If this is the right one, this has an insanely small cap, and I don't know anything about it. It's hard to even look at the chart. It's painful because it went from a $14 to a penny stock. This is like worse than a penny stock. If this is the one you're talking about, this looks like shit. So Pete, I love you. I don't like either of these plays. That is my honest opinion. Aureus, hey Jesse, good to hear you, man. Thank you, sir. Mark Bentley, welcome back, Jesse. Any chance you could weigh in on Rio Tinto? And again, we were talking about this one a little bit earlier. So Rio Tinto is, did you say that's in the lithium business? Yeah, it's in minerals. So they've probably done, and I don't know what else they mine. Maybe you could speak to that, Mark. A lot of these miners usually don't just mine one thing. If I was looking at this just from a technical level, it looks like it's establishing a strong base and could go higher. That doesn't always give us the full picture, though, does it? So let me see. Rio. And again, I think the lithium mining space is still kind of weak. Revenue growth is non-existent. Profits are up 33% year over year, so that's probably good. Let me see if it says what they mine over here. Rio Tinto is an Anglo-Australian multinational and the second largest metals and mining corporation globally, specializing in the extraction of minerals. Besides mining, the company plays a significant role in refining for bauxite and iron ore. So yeah, they're in the mining business for all kinds of stuff. I don't know, man. I don't know if I love this business right now. Let me look at yearly. So in 2008, you saw a big spike. Sometimes commodities do really well when shit hits the fan. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. I don't know. I don't have a lot of opinion on Rio Tinto. Again, maybe lithium's better in the future, just not really focused on it right now. Might be the right choice, but I think there's just other bets that are much better. UIC, down to hear any new insight or reinforced conviction in your Tesla leaps. Again, I showed you a bunch of stuff. I think Tesla's amazing. I have a high schooler with his first summer job. Want to match anything he earns into a Roth IRA. How would you invest $1,000 for a kid? I would do a mix of probably Bitcoin related investments, like maybe actual Bitcoin or maybe an ETF if you're looking to make this like a long-term thing where it's not a trading thing. I wouldn't try and push a kid down that path anyway. So I would just maybe 50-50, Tesla and Bitcoin. And then also, or maybe throw in a little bit of Palantir in there too. And again, some of these other bets might be okay, but I think that's a good three mix there. If you did like 33% in each, I think that would be good. Or like if you did like 40-40 and then 20% in Palantir. Personally, again, not financial advice. All right, what time is it? It's almost 5. All right, I think I'm going to call it, guys. My daughter's going to be doing taekwondo here soon anyway, so I'm probably going to need to go. So I'll need to catch up on some of these later. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. I will look at them again, and I'll try and do that Thursday when we're back. So you guys have a great day, and have a good night, and let's talk later. Peace out. Let me see. I'll do my little thing here. Go to my intro screen, hit my little button.
Currency funded every kind of dangerous criminal.
But I would not touch crypto in a million years.
Bitcoin is going to zero.
If I was the government, I'd close it down.
People are losing money in scams and huckster flim-flam artists.
These people who own these things should not own your money in any of those. I do think you're an idiot, okay?
It's over.
Go fuck yourself. I hope it is. Is that clear?